Hey guys, we're here seeing Frank Barca today, head of 10th Planet out in Coburg North. So we're going to have a quick chat to him, see what he's all about and grab his story. Come on in. All right, guys, we're here at 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu seeing the amazing, the all-powerful Frank Barca. Thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thank you,
it's
Jess.
good to be able to get your knowledge out there and share it with the fighters and across multiple martial arts disciplines, which I think is important because you have worked across a few.
Yes, I have.
But do you want to start us off by telling us how you got into martial arts and what that original discipline was?
Well, I originally started in freestyle karate in 1979. Actually, I was 9, and I wagged a drum lesson because I'm a drummer, and my brother told me, "Hey, there's some dudes in black uniforms breathing funny and beating each other up with crooked noses and down at the high school." So we scrambled down to the high school and checked it out. And it's funny, my brother's 18 months older than me, and we're sitting in this chair watching them train and in their lines and throwing punches and throwing down. And I was like super excited, and my brother was like petrified, So he went that way, and I went that way.
That way.
Yeah. So my journey began, and I don't know, the usual, as they say how you do one thing, you do all things, and I just don't get bored. I just keep myself occupied, and I just kept going. And to cut a long story short, Zendo Kai Freestyle Karate was the school that I started at in Hadfield, just down the road from here. And I ended up taking that over in 92, 93, and then ended up moving into a full-time situation. And I'm actually the last breadcrumbs, remnants of the original dojo from 79 over in Hadfield.
Wow,
so
okay.
I started in freestyle karate, yeah. And I was just out of look, I was a huge who wasn't a Bruce Lee fan in the 70s,
Yeah.
And my dad loved boxing, still does, and wrestling.
Yep.
WWE wrestling.
Oh,
my dad's
is he going in Melbourne?
No, he's not. Dad's nearly 80 now, so we've been like 3 times. Like, it's funny, like I'd go with my son. I was taking my son when he was younger. Andre, he's nearly 18 now, but when he was like 8 and 9, my son's a huge WWE fan too, so I would go to the WWE, the city of Rod Laver, with my son and my dad. Is that funny? Come on, that's hilarious.
I can see the 3 of you losing your minds over it.
I was looking at my dad, like, I'm like, I better buy him a t-shirt, right? He's going to freak if John Cena doesn't show up. I'm going to go down there, I'm going to kick his ass. Someone's going to get hurt if he doesn't show up.
He is a magnificent man, John Cena.
Yeah, he is. They all are. Look, let's not get confused. Just because the WWE is an entertainment.
Yes.
And we understand that. But those guys train so hard. Those guys put themselves through so much for our entertainment. It's ridiculous.
And their post-career injuries and ailments, I guess, would be phenomenal.
And we don't even hear half of the bad stories.
Yeah.
The post. What about the guys that never make it in the WWE, putting themselves through it? I mean, I've got a friend of mine, Carlo Cannon. He's a Melbourne boy. Known him for a bunch of years, and he's a pro wrestler. And man, some of the stories he's told me that go on is just remarkable. So I have the utmost respect for them. But anyway, boxing and wrestling is what I got raised on.
Yep.
And Sundays, my dad used to work, 7 days a week from 5 till 9 at night. Hardly saw him. But on Sunday lunch, we'd have the wrestling going on with Mario Milano and King Curtis and all those old dudes. And I would get really excited. I would sit next to him.
Yeah.
He was just sitting there eating his pasta and his wife beater in summer. It's classic vision, right?
Yep.
The Italian fathers in that day. And I would sit there and I'd be super excited. So my dad was very excited when I went into martial arts. He didn't worry about me at all. And being a child in the 70s, I survived. So if you survived as a child in the 70s, man, you can survive anything.
You survive anything, most definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting. So how did from karate, how did you then move into jiu-jitsu and the 10th Planet kind of area?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of years in between, but basically in 94, like everybody else, 93 rather, when Hoist Grayson came on the scene and did what he did in UFC 1, remarkably, this skinny, not small, I mean, he's 6'1", I guess, but he looked pretty small compared to all those other guys in there with an absolute division, as we call it these days, which is no weight classes, to go out there and submit all his opponents with this thing off his back, with this thing called jiu-jitsu. And I'll never forget the highlight reel when they was, they do a highlight reel before the fighters come out, and seeing him throw those flying arm bars, and I was just like mesmerized. I was just mesmerized. I'm like, I want to do that. I want to do that. So, like everybody, so I was on a quest. And then, obviously in Australia, Jiu-Jitsu was very underdeveloped, so there was not many, weren't any instructors to go out there and teach us. So I went on this quest to look for anyone that knew anything about it. And of course, you know, came up and met a lot of great people, but you know, they didn't know nothing, you know. But look, what I learned was more than what I knew. Exactly. So I was like, I felt like I was in the right place. Yep. I was training with white belts, but I felt like I was like, oh man, this is the coolest shit ever, because I couldn't find it anywhere else, you know. So, and in the middle of all that, because I'm always training. I've never taken a year off. I've always trained since I was a 9-year-old boy, and it's 39 years this past March in the martial arts. And you know, I just went on and just kept training while it all developed. And eventually I went into Ironman triathlon because I was teaching so much when I went full time that I was starting to feel like I felt inadequate as a martial artist. You know, you got physical conditioning, man. You got to be in shape. Yeah. End of story. No, it's no buts, no maybes, and not, a little bit. No, it has to be, you got to be in shape, ready to go. You got to be ready. Opportunities come and go, get ready. So that was one thing that was weighing on me. You know, so physical conditioning, mental, you got to be mentally ready to go. So if I wasn't in a physical shape, this is how I see it, and a lot of martial artists do too. Yeah. This is nothing new. If you're not physically in shape, then mentally you're going to start having the weight from your shoulders into your mind. You know, you start feeling less of yourself. You don't feel as sharp. You don't feel as yourself. So then you start to get a little down, a little negative, a little depressed, a little, you know, not so normal. Yeah. And I didn't like that at all. Yeah. And of course, spiritually, you know, if you're trying to, you know, to hack into your spirituality, to really get in connection with yourself and with your soul, then, you know, you need to make sure you got your physical body in its peak, its best condition. Mentally, you got to be in the right frame of mind to be able to really tap in and appreciate and be grateful for your life. You know, if things aren't going great, you're complaining, whinging, dwelling, and making excuses, right? True. But when you're smashing it, everything. Well, for me, that appreciating gratitude is multiplied. It's amplified. For me, because if everything's going so great and I'm physically great, mentally I'm in the right shape, then I'm going to just be like, wow, man, I feel so great. Like, oh, you know, it's easy for me to go into my soul. You know, it's easy to go for me into my spirit and go and build that relationship that you need to, like everybody needs to. So what do you do for the physical side of things on top of your training, and what do you do on the spiritual side of things? Do you meditate? Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, for sure. Look, through martial arts, you always get taught about the value of sitting still and being still. It's very, very powerful to sit still and be still, which most people can't do. Most people, their view on sitting still and being still is kicking their shoes off, putting their feet up and putting the TV on. Yeah. That's not what I'm talking about. Doing something. Yeah. Well, you know, you're not being still. You're watching something. You're distracted. Really, it's all about distraction. Magazines, internet, phones, devices, especially these days. Oh, especially with your iPads. Yeah, I don't envy kids and stuff these days at all. But I've been meditating officially. Transcendental meditation I learned in 2011. Okay. Because my kids went to Maharishi school. We put them into the school of consciousness-based learning, where they do yoga and meditation twice a day as part of their normal curriculum. Yeah. And they in their primary school years. So one of us parents had to learn TM. Oh, okay. So I said, I'm learning, and my wife says, no, bullshit. Because my wife's a Reiki master, and she's a medium. My wife's a medium. Oh, wow. Like, in every sense of the word, powerful. And we'll get her on the next episode. Oh, you'd be mad not to. You'd be crazy to miss that opportunity. Anyway, so so my quest began in 2011, officially, you know, meditating twice a day for 20 minutes, and I tell you, that changed my whole life, just changed everything. Yeah. Which it does. It's real. And every day. Look, I don't meditate twice a day. I think 2 years ago I just went to once a day. Okay. Yep. For 20 minutes. And in morning or more before you go to bed? Never before bed, because I'm up until 4 a.m. and it just energizes you. Okay. It wakes you up. It really shakes you up. But I like to meditate about an hour before I come and teach my class at 7 o'clock. Okay. So I come in and work at 7 till 9. I teach my 2-hour class every night. Yeah. My advanced class. Yeah. And I've got one of my top purple belts taking the fundamentals programs. Yeah. So now I'm giving myself that space to because last year, I'm not kidding, last year I nearly burnt myself out completely. I was doing 18-hour days. I was hustling like you wouldn't believe, but I learned very quickly through my coach, my business coach, we'll get into that, I'm sure. Yes. That we've been led down this road to believe that you got to hustle, you got to be smashing and grinding. I'm like, that works, but man, I nearly died trying.